Yuzuru Hanyu. Let's talk a little bit about Yuzu. He is, of course, legend and icon in the sport, two-time Olympic champion. Talk about his return after his injury this season. Of course, the World Championships didn't necessarily turn out the way he wanted, but still an incredible showing nonetheless.
Yeah, and it was kind of a carbon copy of last year because he had the injury on the same foot, and we had maybe a little bit more time off last year getting ready for Olympics, but you had those Olympics looming to kind of keep him motivated when he was ready to get back on the ice. And this time it was almost as long, and it was a similar situation, but I guess maybe learning from last year, he knew exactly sort of the path to take to recovery and to trust and to know, when it was safe to sort of turn up the heat and kind of go full steam ahead. And that's what he did, because he did it last year and he had to do it this year. And it's not the easiest way to get to where you want to be. And but he pretty well got there. And it was really, I guess this is kind of his first time competing in Japan since he won the Olympics for the second time. So coming here, it was just like overwhelming. I just kind of braced myself when we were flying over, knowing that we'd get to the airport and there would be a big media blitz, and then and just the fans, it was incredible. You were probably at the building when he would walk up those stairs for a practice, and this practice is sold out, and you could hear people, and the other guys are skating, and you could hear this crowd, and they're all going, "Oh, Yuzu showed up."
Taking his warm-up jacket off, it was as if someone was finishing their long program.
I know, he skated on the ice and did like a Y stand, and they were like, "Ah!"
Right.
These other guys are busting their butts out there trying, the quad flips and sows and stuff, and then he does a Y stand and it gets a big applause. He's such a great ambassador for the sport, and figure skating is alive because of what's been going on in Japan with figure skating, and not just with him, but with Shoma, and then now we have these new girls coming up, and in the past with Mickey and with Mao, and Shizuka. So they've had a long history of greats, and so he has some big shoes to fill, but he's doing it really well, and he's doing it like a real champion.
Absolutely, and speaking of being a real champion, I was reading a lot of the quotes from him and Nathan throughout the course of the week, and it just seems like there's a lot of very genuine mutual admiration between them. Two incredible athletes, incredible talents, but also class acts, I think, and they're great representatives for the sport. Can you talk a little bit about that rivalry, the friendly, respectful rivalry between the two of them, which I know Yuzu has had before, perhaps with someone like Javi?
Yeah, I think the key word is respect, and yes, and Javi and Yuzu had some great respect for each other, but at the end of the day, Yuzu wants to win, and Javi wants to win, and Shoma wants to win, and Nathan wants to win. And which is fine, and that's what great athletes are all about. But they have respect, and I could even see it on practice sessions when someone's going down for a jumping pass with their music, and I'll see someone like Nathan kind of change his pattern a bit so that Yuzu can come in, and then Yuzu will do the same thing too. And if by accident they do get in each other, where they're kind of looking and like, I'm sorry. And so that's great. But they both, they're both still pretty fierce competitors, and that fierceness happens when they get back to their training centers and they train. And I can guarantee you, with Yuzu, he'll be back soon, and he's probably already figured out some math on how we can get those extra points. And it was unfortunate in the short. We missed about 12 points on that one jumping pass. So, so you add that in, and then you start looking realistically, another point here and another point there, And I mean, Yuzu's stamina was not up to the level yet to be able to get giant scores on the spins and the steps, which has an impact on all the components. So there are a lot of points, and he can still be. My message to him anyway is that he can still be very competitive with Nathan. Now, but Nathan's been smart. His group, they've been smart because they're playing our game, so they know where to get those points. And for Nathan, it was not just in the technical ability of these incredible jumps, but his skating skills are getting better. His spins are getting better. And we did the same thing when we were challenging and trying to compete with Patrick Chan. So you go back 8 years, we sat down and said, how can we get ahead of Patrick Chan? So, sure, let's do our jumps. But he was a great jumper too. What was the standout for him? He's a great skater, right? He's like a skater's skater. And so it's like, that's what we have to work on. Okay, we don't need to go out and get a quadlets right away. We need to work on this, and it'll take time. So, and that's what we did. And every competition got a little closer and a little closer. And by the time we got to Sochi Olympics, we were like at par with Patrick, and that was like a big step for us. So with Nathan and Yuzuru, they're getting better because of each other. Now, how long this will go on, I have no idea. And I guess that's sort of a question for Yuzu, because I honestly don't know the answer to that. And whether we, I mean, next year, he has hinted a little bit about that, but he'll make that announcement. And whether he goes on to the Olympics in Beijing, I don't know. Do I think he can physically maintain this? The answer would be yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Because he loves it. He loves skating, he loves performing, he loves competing. What we saw here in Tokyo with the fans, and who could not love that?
Right. It's special. It's very special.
And then it just creates magic. And then not just him, there's some others. And there'll be some other ones kind of sneaking through too that will also create some magic. So it's good for the sport. And I guess we'll have to wait and see.